Hey everyone, this is Meghna, the co-founder of Teen Chapter. Uh, we at Teen Chapter are on an aim to build India's largest teenagers community. We have so many ongoing series like Startup Talks, University Diaries, Stories of Teens, and much, much more. Today, in the series of University Diaries, we are back with another episode where we are featuring Pragya. She's an incoming freshman at UC Irvine. Hi Pragya, how are you doing?
I am good. How are you?
I'm doing amazing, thank you. So Pragya, tell our viewers a bit about yourself, where you from, everything.
Okay, so I did my high school in Bangalore, but I'm based in California right now. And yeah, I'm intending to major in computer science. So yeah, let's.
That's amazing. So Pragya, the most important thing when it comes to college, university applications, people look at your academics
Yeah.
and everything. So can you give us an insight on your high school years, the 4 years, your how were your scores like? What curriculum did you do, and which school did you go to, and all that?
Okay. So throughout my 4 years, I was in Greenwood High in National School in Bangalore. I did ninth and 12th, I did ICSC, and then 11th, no, sorry, ninth and 10th, I did ICSC, and 11th and 12th, I was in ISC. So throughout ninth and 10th, I would say I was quite an average student. It never, the whole college thing that, you
Right.
have to work for college and all never strike because nobody talks about it in the ninth and 10th, right? So I was like, okay, student, and, I took, subjects wise, I took regular English, math, Hindi, then there's history, geography, the sciences, and computer science.
Okay.
And then so I was like an okay student. I think I did well in my boards because pushed or you push a little bit more during your
Right.
boards. So I got a 96.2 in my boards,
Wow.
and thank you. I got and then in 11th and 12th, I took the commerce route,
Okay.
and so I had English, commerce, accounts, and economics and math.
Okay.
So yeah, and then 11th and 12th. 11th was like, regular school, and then 12th, I was in COVID.
Right.
So, yeah, so I think I graduated in 12th with also a 96.2. So, my scores were the same for both of them. So,
Right.
yeah,
That's amazing. 96 is like an amazing score. But similar to yours, I secured 92 in class 10 and again 92.8 in class 12. So I was just in the 92. Even in my 11th, it was 92. So I was always in the 92 sector. So yeah. And also when you were saying, describing your subjects in your class 11 and 12, I don't think you did computer science in 11 and 12, right?
no. So, I always wanted to switch over to, computer science from economics, but it just something was never that never happened. I always really liked computer science throughout 9th and 10th. It
Okay.
was like, because 9th and 10th in IC, it's a lot of mugging up.
Okay.
And that was one thing I found myself that I really can't do. So, computer science became one of those subjects where you don't mug up, where
Right.
you use your brains. So I wanted to switch over, but it just never happened.
Hmm.
And then later on, I got back to it, which I'm really glad about. But yeah, I didn't take it in 11th and 12th, but it's a good thing because I can still go back to it. It's a subject you can pick up at any point in your life. I know people who pick it up at 40 and then start using it at
Right.
work. So it's you can pick it up at any time in your
Right, right. Nowadays, there's so much accessibility that we can just
life.
do a few courses, few certifications, and then we can do whatever we like. So that's a pretty good
Yeah,
thing. All right. For IB students and all, they have community service and everything as part of their curriculum. So for ISC, CBSE, State Board, we don't have community service or something, any
yeah.
project that is completely focused on research and all that. So did you do any research projects or did you do any volunteering in your high school years or did you have any startup of your own?
So I did extracurriculars, most of them from my 11th grade. And yeah, because ISC it really doesn't push. Even in school, I felt IB was always pushed more towards, do an extracurricular, and nobody bothered because most people would have gone in Indian school, Indian college, and they don't look at extracurriculars.
Right.
So I think I did. I was into baking. I still am. it's a little less now, but I'm really into baking. So I tried around 11th grade. There's this competition called Teen Talks,
Okay.
which is like teen entrepreneurs. And I was like, most people enter in groups, and I couldn't find anyone to back me up on this. So I was like, okay, let me enter alone, for fun. Let's see what will happen. So I entered that, and it's sort of like a baking startup, but something where I can bake, but make like desserts, like a healthy thing, not like
Mhm.
just as a dessert.
Right.
So that I didn't really go through to the final round in that, but that was something I did.
Okay.
Then then later on in 12th grade, I started with some classmates of mine. I started in school uh, online magazine. So we always had like a magazine editor in school, but that magazine editor never did anything. It was a sort of a namesake job. It was so we're like, let's make use of this. We tried to do it. We found writers, found a whole team. First issue, we had the full format, but the school didn't let us print it. They're like, this is too much paper and people are not going to read.
Sure.
And then, I mean, I guess perfect timing because COVID, everything shut
Right.
down right after.
Right.
Then we took it online.
Okay.
And then there's no restriction there. We found the design team to build website. We found different teams. We found social media team, writer team. Found we found a comic strip artist. We found like all these column writers. So we found, and then there was no limit on these many words in these thing, and so that really helped. And then we ran it for a lot of issues, and then we were always very proud of it. I think the website is still there, and then it was really, really like really a masterpiece because we had everything. We had from podcasts to like
Right.
interviews like this one, and like uh, columns in almost every topic.
Right.
So that was one thing that I really enjoyed doing as well, even though it never aligned with what I wanted to do. Till I was in 12th grade, I wanted to go into math. I never
Okay.
thought of computer science at that point because I didn't have computer science as a subject. So at the back of my mind, I always thought it's not possible, to continue it further, but it is. So I sort of let it go, but I wasn't very focused at, only because I have taken math as like what I want to go ahead and I have to do extracurriculars in math. You can do it in a broad, lots of things. Extracurriculars not only give you like technical skills, there are a lot of soft skills which you will use every day. So that's what I learned a lot from that magazine. I think that was one of the best, I think, extracurriculars I
Right.
did. Then after the, except for that, I was also working on a charity two friends had started during COVID called Share a Square.
Hmm.
And we used to collect crochets. We still do. It's still running and crochet squares
Okay.
and distribute it, get tailors to sew them together and then distribute it to homeless shelters, orphanages, etc. for winters or any other time.
Okay.
So that was the Share a Square is still going on. They're still collecting squares, distributing it. But now we've expanded into more awareness raising regarding crochet, how it's like a dying art. So
Right.
bring it back.
Right.
Yeah, and then another thing I did was there was this uh, student-run menstrual awareness organization called Rutu Chakra.
Okay.
So they started a chapter system where they wanted chapter presidents to open up these chapters in their school and raise awareness through that, raise funding through that, get products to villages and areas that don't have access to it.
Okay.
I think that was a little difficult because also again in the middle of COVID, but
Right.
we had started a page and we had started the first year off with a few students. I don't think that was done for a very long time, but we did pass it on to our next batch of students in Greenwood. So they're running it and hopefully they pass it on and keeps going.
Right.
So I think these were like three main things I did. But regarding that, there were like there was one more thing. Uh, so there's a organization called the Indus Entrepreneurs
Okay.
called TIE. So I did a student entrepreneurship program with them. That was really nice. They had mentors come and speak to us regarding what they've learned, what they are good at in their respective fields, and then at the end of it, you form a group and you present your own business plan. So I think these were some of the extracurriculars I did that, I really like help. I think I learned something from it also while doing it. So yeah.
Right. I did go through your magazine recently, and it's amazing. And
Yeah.
also, Share a Square. Personally, I knit and I'm learning how to crochet.
Oh,
So it's like when I got to know about Share a Square, I was like, it's an amazing. I mean, they're working towards an amazing cause, and
yeah.
crocheting and knitting is like a therapy. It's like a
It
meditation.
it really is, yeah.
Yeah,
I had no clue how to crochet, but now I like, I recently learned. And some once in a while, I'll do it sometimes. It's like it's nice. It's like you just sit and do, and it's like a repetitive thing. It's a nice thing to do.
right.
And yeah,
And you can do it while listening to music or
yeah.
podcasts or anything. So it's and even seeing series and all that. It's pretty good. All right. So since we spoke about extracurriculars, did you do any courses or certifications externally? Any like courses from Coursera, Udemy, and stuff like that?
Not from Coursera, and I tried, but the whole online learning,
Hmm.
it didn't work for me too much, and I wasn't too inclined towards that. So I think I started a few, didn't finish it exactly,
Okay.
but I was like, okay, so right now I'm doing one because I have to do it for an internship I'm doing right now
Okay.
for React Native and Java. But except for that, I think there was nothing else that I did.
Right. Yeah, but what you're doing currently is also amazing. I've heard React Native is kind of tricky,
Yeah, so it is.
complicated kind of.
It, it is tricky, but I'm glad I'm learning it. So at like some point, it'll definitely be useful. It's a learning curve. You have to really take your time with it, and you have to learn. I think the language first, and you move on to it. So it is tricky. You need to dedicate self-learning hours. And
Right.
at when the lockdown started, I think schoolwork I was doing mainly because your teachers are teaching you live, but otherwise I had tried self-learning and it didn't wasn't working for me. Now I'm like, I'm realizing how it's honestly the only way. How much ever you want to go against self-learning, you want someone to come and teach and spoon feed you. If you can't self-learn, it's like it's the best way to learn anything also because
Correct.
you take your time, you learn it, but self-learning is it's really required because you go to college, there are thousands more people who go to college and you all learn the same,
Right.
but then what do you have that's like a little more extra that you probably learned yourself.
Right. Very true. So, coming to the most exciting part, community college. So, a lot of people don't know what a community college is, or even if it exists, and even if they know what it is, what are the benefits of it? So, would you like to, because you went to a community college in California, would you like to describe your experience and a few advantages of going to a community college, either before starting your university or maybe like going as a freshman or transferring to a university?
Okay, so I actually took a gap year
Okay.
instead of taking the transfer path, which is a lot of people, especially internationally, don't know what community college is.
Right.
So like you can it's basically, and also it has a bad rep because you see it in TVs and stuff,
Hmm.
TV shows and all that. Oh, you go into community college, like it does have a bad rep for being that, but it is not. In some areas it might be, but if you go to like it's a real money saver. So you do
Right.
first 2 years in community college and then where you sort of find your major and do the courses for that major, and then end of the 2 years you transfer to a 4 year college and you eventually graduate from that 4 year college. So that was it was never my plan to do that, but then I found out regarding this when I was in California. I was like, if I had known about this before, I would have made this my plan.
Right.
I would have definitely considered it. It's a huge cost thing, especially most people don't want to go abroad because of the cost, which is completely valid, but there is an alternative to it. There is a way to save on it,
Right.
which is not known.
Right.
So even for international students, it's a big cost saver. You pay less than half of what you would do in the year in a
Exactly.
4 year college.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If it's 200K for 4 years, if you go to a community college, you spend like 10-15K per year, I'm assuming. And then the
yeah.
next third and fourth year, you pay for your
Well,
university.
yeah, you probably pay like 100 or a little more.
Right.
like around half it will definitely cut down the cost.
Right.
So significantly. So that's the good thing. So when I went to community college, I was on my in my gap year, and I didn't want to number one waste time. I also took my gap year in like it was a very late decision to take a gap year.
Okay.
I was till the last moment I was supposed to go to University of Waterloo in Canada, and
Okay.
yeah, and last moment, what happened with like family situations and like 10 other things, and I was like, okay, fine. I think it's better if I take a gap year.
Right.
And so I decided to take that gap year. And then I'm like, I don't want to waste this year that I have this year. I don't want to be like, oh, it's completely wasted and I've
Hmm.
not done anything. I was just sat at home and, probably watched everything on Netflix in the year. But there's no award for that. Everybody else also does that.
Right.
So that's so I went in, that's why I restarted computer science because I had completely left it till like after 10th grade. When I went to community college, what I did, I restarted computer science and I took the courses of computer science there again. And then over there, also when you take college level courses, you realize there's more than just the programming part. Usually do when you learn intro, you'd learn that this there in intro. I learned that there is a front end and a back end, and there's if you find this interesting, you can go into this. There are multiple parts to computer science. It's not just like make a website and that's it.
Right.
So there's so many parts to it. At the same time, I also took two collegiate math courses
Hmm.
under Stanford. So
Okay.
that was, yeah, so that was like a one-term thing. Now these courses I sort of took to, figure out how math is in college also. Because till now I knew 12th grade math, and everybody tells you it's very different in college, but you don't accept it or you don't know it till you try.
Right.
It- yeah. So I was like, yeah, I'll manage. And when did these courses, I was like, now I like this because I'm someone who likes math. I can do this, but I don't see the point in it. I also wanted to always do something that's practical. I don't. You've heard so many people saying, "Oh, I don't even use my degree." Why did you study? Like, you know, it's
Right.
like I didn't want to be one of those people who don't use their degrees. If I'm putting 4 years in college and I have a year to figure out also what I want to do. Even if it's let's say not in math and computer science, at least let me figure it out
Right.
before I go and waste 4 years in doing something I will never want to do again or you will not use. So I did those math courses. I would have liked it, but I'm like, this is unless I'm doing some higher level engineering or some, really going into math PhD or something, which is, in my opinion, little too early to decide. So this is not going to, I can't do this forever.
Hmm.
And then and then same time when I was taking computer science, I was like, this is so much more sensible because everything I'm learning today, I can see it somewhere in the real world.
Right.
So yeah, that was one very good plus with computer science. So then I was like, I think it's maybe a little better to switch the majors. And then so that's what I did. I took some courses and regarding in under the computer science department. And then I also realized it's something when you're interested in it, you do it. You
Right.
manage to do it. If you're interested in it, you'll definitely study it more.
Interest.
And so, yeah, so that was one of the things I did in community college. So I think it was great because it helped me
Right.
find, whatever I want to do without the pressure of when you have to decide.
Right.
Because when you're in 12th grade, you also don't, you're doing everything under the school level and it's going to be different. And so
Hmm.
you don't really know. So that was one good thing about community college for me is that there was a lot of flexibility. I can take one course a quarter or I can take 5 courses a quarter. It's okay.
Okay.
And there was always, there were always a mix of people from everywhere. That, you don't only have people your age. Community college, you'll have people who are working professionals also in your class, just coming and like retaking a class because they want to. And you don't have like a attending class every day thing. In fact, when I shifted, my dad couldn't believe that I only had 2 classes like in the week, and it's like what do you do the rest of the week? I'm like, we have homework we have to submit. He's like, are you sure you're not bunking class? I'm like, no, this is how it works. And then he's like, I don't think so, because I'm sure like then back then they made you come to college was also like school, you come every day and stuff like that.
Right.
So So there was a lot of freedom in community college like that, you can explore whatever you want, and at the end of it, you can still transfer wherever you want,
Correct.
and still, and you can, it's a much smaller community as compared to a bigger, like a 4-year college,
Hmm.
because 4-year college, you're competing with lots of people in your grade. There are probably, they're not then, there are a lot of opportunities also in a community college. Everybody's sort of, if you reach out, they're more welcoming. I will say it is more difficult to, let's say, find friends there if you don't already know people from before.
Okay.
But in general, if you want to join a club, people are very welcoming. If you want help, there were so many resources I found in community college for help. Like there was free tutoring on these days from this time to this time. You just had to inform 2 hours before, something like that. And I used to hear my friends in 4-year colleges saying, I have to inform 2 months before if I want like tutoring.
Too
So
much.
I found, yeah. So I'm like, I think I'm paying like one-fourth what you're paying, but okay. Like,
Right.
so cost-wise, I used to be like, oh, I have so many, so many things available to me, so many resources. I always, if you ever want an academic counselor, you can always get a meeting with them, or you can schedule a meeting with them. You can get a tutor if you need help. The professors were really nice. I didn't expect that also.
Hmm.
The professors were very, very welcoming, and they all really want you to come to them. They
Right.
all, most of them have TAs who are also like, you can message them anytime and they will, like just reply to it as soon as they can.
Right.
So it was a very like a nice environment, probably because a little smaller, but I liked the whole study part of it. I liked how the study, and I didn't find much of a difference between a community college and like what, like probably if I went to a 4-year college, they would have taught me the same content. It's also how they teach you. And the way I was being taught, I thought, this is pretty good. So I would definitely see why people would come and take the community college path. Especially a lot of people who wouldn't get into their top choice through freshman year would come to community college and work for 2 years and then apply
Right.
to that college as a transfer.
Right.
So yeah, so that was one. Then that was the good. Although I didn't end up taking the transfer path,
Hmm.
uh, you know, I could very well have. I didn't end up taking it, but I think it's definitely a very very good path that
Right.
people should definitely know about, because it's like, especially a lot of people want to go abroad, and
Correct.
this
Yeah.
is a
But
path
not
that's
a lot
there,
of
which is not.
people. Yeah, but not a lot
Yeah,
of people know about community college.
yeah. Even like school counselors, they don't tell you about it. I'm
Correct.
sure they know. They don't tell you about it. No, none of them will tell you about it. They'll just be like, go to an Indian college or something.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So there
Right.
should be more awareness regarding this. And there were a fair share of Indian students
Okay.
coming from here and going and living there
Hmm.
just for the community college. But it wasn't, they also probably found out because they knew someone who took it or they've lived in the
Yeah.
US or something
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that. They didn't find out about it through, just because it was advertised or something. It was never,
Right. Even I got to know about community college after watching a YouTuber. His name is Nand Javia, I think, and he went to Orange Coast Community College. So from
okay.
there, I got to know about the community college system and
Mm,
everything. And
yeah.
also, I've heard community colleges in California. Most of the professors, or at least a few of the professors, they also teach at UCs and all that. So is that true?
Oh, yeah, that's true. I think I don't know, I'm not sure about details. I can't confirm anything, but a lot of them had a lot of information that, around California state colleges and UCs. They will know exactly what courses to take. They will also advise you. And one of the professors would just say, after class, come and ask me if you're ever struggling. If you don't even need to take a appointment with the career counselor. Just ask me and I can help you out with what course you like or what you're interested in. I will tell you that. So they do teach in UC. Some of them do half and half here and there. Because like I said, if you teach one class, you're not always in that class. It's not 5 days a week. Right? It's probably two
Right.
days in a week and
Right.
probably rest of the week is assignments.
Right.
So it's not so much, again, that's a little bit of self-study, which also I learned the importance of self-study. there.
Okay.
So, that part is also there. And best thing about community colleges, most of them have 100% acceptance. And when you apply as a transfer, they don't ask you anything regarding high school. So if you're a terrible student in high school and you just want to get your act together in college,
Hmm.
it's the best second chance, I think, that
Right.
there is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of the best advantages. And
Yeah.
also, do you think there are any disadvantages of going to a community college?
Yeah, there definitely is. The one thing is the socially. At least can't speak for all of them, but at least for me, thing is most people either if they've come from school, like if there's a group of people who come from school to a community college, they'll know each other. But nobody was very social in class, talking to each other, and because most people just take like one class or two classes, they don't have like a proper schedule. You also don't it's like you also don't end up socializing on too many things. You
Right.
don't know that, oh, this person is like going to follow this path and all that, because it's so what free, like it's so free to take now any number of classes you want.
Hmm.
Think the socially wise, I would say it was a disadvantage for me because I wouldn't make friends with anyone there, and it wasn't people wouldn't really talk in class, and outside class people would just be in a class, or they'd be home. And maybe this is a after COVID thing when I went, but there was not much happening socially. That was my biggest uh, problem with community college.
Okay.
So yeah.
So, after your entire 1 year experience at community college, so if a person comes and asks you, would you recommend them to go to a community college, either just to like explore courses or to like do 2 years there and then transfer? Will you recommend it to anyone?
I will recommend also on the basis of like uh, major and what they want to do,
Okay.
because like the community college I went to, they were very, very focused in that computer science department. So that worked in my favor because those were the courses I were taking, and majority of the resources would be allocated to that department. But there were a lot of also small departments which existed but weren't given that much attention. So
Okay.
I personally I wouldn't want to be part of a community college where my department or what I'm studying is not given like a high priority.
Right.
And I think most people would agree, right, that they want the college or school to give them all they have. So I think different community colleges depending on that. One is that if someone really wants to go to the US to study, oh yeah, I would say, and is having maybe financial problem, I think community college is one of the cheapest ways to
Right.
go, or obviously financially, but community college is you know one of the best ways to then go and then transfer from there. And yeah, I think it really depends on the uh, on the major, and also it might not be for everyone. Some people would really like to go to college for the college experience,
Right.
for the dorms and like
Hmm.
college games and all that stuff. It wouldn't be for them
Okay.
because that's not there in a community college, unfortunately. But it might be there in a few others, but at least the one I was in, it wasn't. So while it can be great for some people, it is not. You also need to sort of see what your priorities are. I
Okay.
wouldn't recommend it for everyone, but yeah, I would recommend it to someone who sort of fits the criteria, really wants to go, and it's definitely one way to go. And you can build a profile there also, an extracurriculars profile there also. You can do a lot of stuff there. I know a girl who came from India, went to same community college I went to, and then after the 2 years transferred to Berkeley for computer science, which is a very, very hard program to get into.
Okay.
So yeah,
That's amazing.
so
Right.
that it can work for some people, but also not for everyone.
Yeah. So, coming to your SAT scores or IELTS scores, so coming from India, I think for IB students, we don't have to give IELTS or something, but in general, because you said you're from ISC and all, did you give SAT or IELTS or any other examinations?
So I had studied for SAT for a year,
Okay.
planned to give it the whole time, studied because in the beginning of my 11th grade, I wasn't sure where I was applying, but it was always safer to just take the SAT in case I was applying to the US. And a lot of countries accept your SAT score now. Like, I
Correct.
think now it's removed, but when we were applying, it was accepted by even Singapore and all. So I was like, okay, let me just give it because it'll be useful. And then when I wanted to give it, COVID happened, and then every single time I was okay to give it, and it didn't clash with my exams. And then it was always like a COVID scare or something. So little bit, I feel like I did blame it on COVID a lot, but I ended up not giving it. I did study for it,
Mm.
but yeah, regarding IELTS, I gave IELTS. Um, and IELTS was fairly simple exam because it's just English. You need to get used to the format. That's it. Which if you take one or two practice tests, if you're just like you speak English at home, you speak English at school, you'll be fine with
Mhm.
it. There maybe you'll have no issues with it unless you don't have an English grammar issue, speaking issue, writing issue. You'll be fine with it. There is nothing. I never thought it was really difficult. I
Okay.
understand to people who don't speak English as regularly might be something to study for it a lot. But it wasn't
Right.
a big, yeah.
So, what's your IELTS score?
I got a total of 8/9.
Wow, it's amazing. Yeah, I did see a few people nowadays with amazing scores. So
Yeah.
it's
It's
actually
an English
inspirational.
it's an English proficiency test at the end of the day.
Right.
So I feel like it's okay to, it's not something that doesn't require that much of studying. And even like now it's useful because coming from India as high school, like the colleges usually want you to submit an English proficiency,
Correct.
be
Correct.
it TOEFL or IELTS or even like Duolingo or something. They
Right.
want you to submit something because even though you write that I've studied my 4 years in an English medium school, they still need you to submit it.
Okay. So did you apply as a test optional candidate for UC Irvine?
Yeah, so when I applied think to the all the UCs by that time, I applied in 2021. So by
Okay.
that time, SAT was optional anyways,
Okay. Yeah.
and IELTS, SAT, ACT, everything was optional. I submitted my scores, but it was optional anyways.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Got it. So, did you get any sort of aid at UC Irvine, or are you at like any scholarship, or are you paying the complete fee?
No, I'm not at any scholarship or anything. I'm
All
not
right.
paying.
All right. So, how many universities did you apply in total, and how many out of all those to what universities did you get into?
Okay, so I think when I was in 12th grade, I did like a set of applying to universities, and then a year later during my gap year, I applied again. So when I was in 12th grade, I think I applied to in India, I applied to Ashoka,
Okay.
which I got into. Then I think that was it in India. I applied in Singapore to NUS, NTU, and Yale NUS, which that I did not get. Then I think in the UK, I got into King's College, Durham University,
Okay.
and another one, Warwick. Yeah.
Okay. Hmm.
So, and then in Canada, I got into U of T and University of Toronto and Waterloo.
Okay.
And I think, yeah, that was about all the places I applied to. Then after during my gap year, I applied to I think 5 or 6 UCs,
Okay.
uh, and one college in Canada,
Okay.
which is Carleton. I got into Carleton, and under UCs, you can cut this part out, I think, maybe, or like, because so some of the UCs didn't accept me as a freshman because I went to community college.
Okay.
Yeah, so that didn't work. And thing is, the transfer, right? They'll UC transfer is only taken as a third year. I clearly didn't have enough courses to cover first and second year.
Okay.
So that
Mm-hmm.
was
All right.
so under UCs, I got into UC Irvine.
Okay. All right. That's amazing. So even UC Irvine is like super prestigious university, and congratulations, by the way, on getting into UC Irvine.
So
And also, do you have Okay, wait. This question. We're at the end of it. Oh yeah, we're at the end.
Oh,
Do you want to cover something? Because the next question is advice to prospective students.
um, cover some, I think. Mm,
Would have.
hello.
Yeah, there was a power cut here. I hope. Uh, okay.
Okay.
Do you think the entire thing will be recorded or it will be gone? I think it will be there.
It'll be it'll be recorded. It
Okay.
should be there. It might be in two parts, or I'm not.
Yeah, I think last time also something happened similar, something similar happened, and then the first part got recorded. I think now, I think, yeah, as you said, two parts, so maybe it will be recorded for sure. I don't think it will go.
Because it's recording right now. So
Yeah, we can cut this part. Okay,
okay.
so I think there's nothing more to cover, or is there? We covered extracurriculars, scores, ACAD, percentages, and community college, advantages, disadvantages,
Yeah.
finance, SATs, IELTS. Yeah, we covered everything. Okay,
Yeah.
well, let's.
Great.
So Pragya, we have come to the end of the conversation. Do you have any advice for prospective students who are either going to a community college or applying as a freshman to any four-year college in the US or Canada or any country?
Uh, my advice, one thing is throughout your application process, keep your parents involved because that really helps. Because when you have what to figure out location wise, everything else wise, keep your parents involved. Bec- That's a big factor which I think is not discussed a lot in any college
Right.
like applying video. So keep them involved. They can help you. Mine helped me a lot with my essays because I'm like, essays used to be like, what is the most biggest challenge you faced? I honestly don't know. So you go and just ask them, what's the biggest challenge I've faced? So, keep them involved. But otherwise, be like open-minded regarding, colleges and stuff because there were a lot of colleges I never expected that, till I was in 12th grade, I never wanted to go to the US. So,
Okay.
and, I'm going to college there for the next 4 years now. So I made it like a point that I'm not going to apply to the US. So I applied everywhere in the world except for the US,
Exactly.
where everybody was applying. So yeah, even applied to colleges in the Europe. I think a few of them. I don't even remember, but it was like I think a year and a half back. So I don't even remember, but I'm sure I applied
Hmm.
to. So like be a little open-minded. Don't decide on one college based on just like hearsay or based on like one or two parameters. Maybe talk to people in the college, research more about it. And I know you can't form an opinion of it through like online. If you can go visit it, otherwise like keep an open mind about it. That's the best because you really can't judge the college
Right.
um, till you're really there. Even still, what the impression I had of UC Irvine before I got in versus after I got in is completely different. Because now I'm talking to people who are actually there, and I've been talking to people from Bangalore who are actually there.
Wow.
So and all around the world who are actually there. So then your opinions are gonna regarding college are really gonna change. And don't keep a fixed college list. Like don't
Hmm.
be too fixated on I'm only gonna apply here because like that's what happened with me. And my college list changed before I was applying, while I was applying, and depending on where you get accepted all the time, your college list will change regarding that. So it's going to be quite fluid, and it is a little bit of a roller coaster of a like emotional roller coaster of a journey applying.
Right.
Because it's like a whole, if you get accepted it's like great, if you get rejected it's like a whole institution is rejecting you. It's not an easy thing to take, quite honestly. No matter if it's like an ivy or even if it's small college or anything, it's not an easy thing to take.
True.
So don't take it personally. There are 10,000 things that go into an application. And and I think college admissions are getting harder by the year. This year, there was a 40% increase in just applicants for computer science. So
Oh.
before my decisions came out, I was so freaked out. What is going to happen? Like, this is an incredible increase, but it you put in the work and you just like you go through with it. Whatever will happen, sort of. So keep an open mind, and yeah, I think that's about it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's some amazing advice that you have given to our viewers. Thank you so much, Pragya, for joining in and spending so much time sharing your journey with us. And hope to collaborate more in the future. And all the best. And like, yeah, okay.
Thank
Okay, don't say thank you. Yeah, all the best on getting into UC Irvine, and hope you have amazing 4 years ahead and amazing future ahead as well.
thank you so much. Thank you.